Imagine this. You wake up in absolute darkness, not the kind that swallows light, but the kind that swallows meaning. There are no walls, no ground, no sky. Only the echo of your breath and the weight of a question you can't quite remember. Where are you? No, that's not it. The question is deeper. Who are you? Closer, but still not quite. Then it comes, not as a thought, but as a tremor in the bones. Why are you here? You try to answer, but your voice dissolves before it forms. There are no words, only the hollow ache of not knowing. And then a flicker, a distant pulse of light, like a dying star. It calls to you, not with sound, but with something older, a silent pull, the kind that tugs at the space between atoms. You move toward it, or maybe it moves toward you. The boundaries blur. As the light grows, so does the dread. Because now you see this isn't just light. It's a mirror, and in it, 1,000 versions of you, each living a different life, each convinced their path is the real one. The scholar, the lover, the tyrant, the saint. All you, yet none you. Which one is true? The mirror shatters. The fragments don't fall, they swirl, forming a vortex of faces, choices, regrets. A chorus of whispers rises. You could have been, you should have been, and then silence. You're back in the dark. But something has changed. The question isn't outside you anymore. It's in you, a splinter in the soul. What if the chaos isn't around you, but inside you? What if every doubt, every fear, every time you screamed, "This isn't me," into the void, you were touching a truth most spend their lives running from? That you are not oneself, but many. Not a statue, but a storm. And the journey isn't about finding solid ground, but learning to dance on the shifting tides. The darkness stirs. Something is coming. A choice. Do you step forward? Or do you close your eyes and pray for stillness? But here's the secret. Stillness is the one illusion chaos never lets you keep. You felt it before, that gnawing sense that something is off. Not just in the world, but in you. A fracture between who you are and who you think you should be. A voice whispering, "This isn't right. This isn't real." But what if that fracture isn't a flaw? What if it's the most honest part of you? Carl Jung called it the shadow, the buried self, the rejected instincts, the desires we disown to fit into the world. Friedrich Nietzsche warned of the abyss, the moment you stare into the void, and the void stares back, forcing you to confront the chaos within. Viktor Frankl, surviving the Holocaust, wrote that even in suffering, the last human freedom is to choose one's attitude. Yet society tells you the opposite. Suppress the chaos. Lock away the contradictions. Pretend you are whole. And so we build masks. The good employee, the loyal friend, the perfect partner. We sand down the jagged edges of our souls to fit into systems that demand order. But the chaos doesn't disappear, it festers. It leaks out in sudden rages, in unexplained sorrows, in the quiet midnight thought. Is this all there is? Why? Because we mistake control for peace. We've been taught that identity is a fortress, something static, defended. But psychology screams the truth. The self is a process, not a thing. Neuroscience confirms it. Your brain is a battlefield of competing impulses, rewriting itself with every choice. Philosophy whispers it. From Heraclitus, no man steps in the same river twice, to Sartre, man is condemned to be free. Yet culture sells certainty like a drug. Religion promises salvation through dogma. Capitalism sells self-improvement as a product. Even spirituality becomes a checklist. Mediate, manifest, transcend, as if enlightenment were a subscription service. But the soul doesn't work that way. The chaos you fear? It's not your enemy. It's the unlived life screaming to be acknowledged. The grief you haven't wept. The love you didn't dare speak. The rage you swallow because nice people don't get angry. And when you silence it, it doesn't die. It becomes a ghost. And ghosts don't rest, they haunt. So ask yourself, what have I exiled to feel whole? The answer is the crack in the mask, the place where the storm gets in. And that's where the real journey begins. The chaos doesn't stay contained. It leaks. At first, it's subtle. A numbness in moments meant to feel alive. A job promotion that should thrill you lands like a dull thud. A lover's touch feels distant, as if you're watching yourself from behind glass. You tell yourself, this is just how life is. But the truth is worse. You've split from yourself. Cognitive science calls this dissociation, a mind's last resort when reality clashes too violently with the mask it wears. Philosophy knows it as bad faith, Sartre's term for lying to yourself to escape the terror of freedom. And yet we do it daily. We click through meetings, scroll through lives, trade depth for dopamine, all while something primal whispers, you are made for more than this. But the system needs you numb. Consumer culture thrives on your hunger for distraction. Social media monetizes your self-doubt. Even the therapy industry often peddles adjustment over awakening, teaching you to tolerate the cage rather than question its bars. The message is clear. Stop trembling. Fit in. Consume. Repeat. And so the chaos, denied its rightful form, mutates. It becomes chronic fatigue, the body's rebellion against the soul-deep exhaustion no coffee can cure. It becomes anxiety, a trapped scream in the nervous system, mistaking deadlines for tigers. It becomes a midnight scrolling, the third drink, the inexplicable rage at a stranger's laugh. These aren't malfunctions. They're revolutions. Your psyche's desperate attempt to tear down the false self before it suffocates you entirely. Worse yet, this fracture doesn't just poison individuals. It architects civilizations. History's bloodiest wars were waged by men who feared their own shadows. Genocides are engineered by cultures that split good from evil rather than face the darkness and all. Even climate collapse stems from a species that treats Earth as disposable, just as it treats its own wild animal soul. You think your pain is private? Look closer. Every addiction, every act of violence, every quiet despair is a ripple from the same wound. A world that worships order while denying the chaos that births stars. But here's the secret the system never taught you. Your unrest isn't a flaw. It's a homing signal. The way out begins where the fear is deepest, not with more control, but with surrender, not by silencing the chaos, but by letting it speak. This is a paradox Nietzsche knew. One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. The madness you've been running from? It's the raw material of your becoming. First, shatter the altar of certainty. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by realizing that meaning isn't found, it's forged. When every external identity was stripped away, he discovered an irreducible self that couldn't be taken. Your prison isn't the chaos. It's the desperate need for it to mean something before you've lived it. Start asking better questions. Not how do I fix myself, but what is this pain trying to show me? Then, befriend your shadows. Jungian analyst James Hollis writes, "We do not solve our problems, we outgrow them. That rage you suppress, it might be the energy to set boundaries. That shame you hide, perhaps the compass pointing toward healing. Try this alchemy. When a negative emotion arises, ask, if this feeling had wisdom, what would it say? Next, rewild your attention. Modern life trained perception like a zoo animal, all bars and feeding schedules. Break the trance. Spend 20 minutes watching clouds without naming their shapes. Walk until you forget your problems. Let your mind wander like it did when you were 6, when boredom was a doorway rather than something to medicate away. Finally, build altars to the unknown. The Stoics practice premeditatio malorum, not to fear suffering, but to rehearse losing everything. Try this inversion. Each morning, whisper, today, I will embrace one thing I don't understand about myself. Keep a chaos journal, not for solutions, but to honor contradictions. Write with your non-dominant hand to bypass the censor of your civilized mind. History's great liberators did this work. Rumi turned grief into ecstatic poetry. Frida Kahlo painted her pain into immortality. Van Gogh's madness became starry nights. They didn't transcend their chaos. They married it. Now the critical choice. Will you keep trying to manage the symptoms? Or will you drink the poison straight and discover it was medicine all along? The rebellion isn't out there. It's in the part of you that still trembles. The deepest truth is this. Chaos is not your opposite. It is your origin. Every atom in your body was forged in the fury of collapsing stars. Your heartbeat echoes the rhythm of tidal waves that existed before continents. The very neurons firing as you read, These words crackle with the same electricity as lightning. You were never meant to be still. You are a verb pretending to be a noun. This is what the ancients knew, but we forgot. The Greeks worshipped Dionysus, god of ecstasy and madness, alongside Apollo, god of order. The Taoists revered the interplay of yin and yang, knowing neither could exist without the other. Even quantum physics confirms it. At the subatomic level, particles exist as probabilities until observed. Reality itself is a dance between chaos and form. Your suffering came from believing the lie that you must choose one. But here's the revelation that changes everything. You are the dance, not the dancer, not the stage, the movement itself. When you finally stop warring with your contradictions, when you let the saint and the sinner within you shake hands, that's when the magic happens. Your anxiety becomes alertness. Your anger transforms into fierce love. Your darkest moments reveal themselves as the cocoon before wings. This isn't philosophy. It's physics. Every system, from cells to civilizations, requires edge of chaos states to evolve. Too much order, rigidity, death. Too much chaos, disintegration. But in between, the realm of infinite possibility. That's where you find yourself when you stop resisting the storm and learn to sail by it. So tonight, do this. Stand barefoot on the earth. Breathe in the same air that once filled the lungs of Socrates and Sappho. Feel the pulse in your wrists, the same rhythm that has continued unbroken since you floated in amniotic darkness. You survived every fall, every heartbreak, every moment you thought would end you, not despite the chaos. Because of it, the final paradox? The moment you stop seeking solid ground, that's when you realize you've always been able to walk on water. Now, close your eyes and meet yourself, not as you are, but as you're becoming.